Installing service upgrade from 200 amp to 400 amp, 320 continuous. Do not know what size wire I need for electric company to tie into at the splice. Looking for wire size from meter to top of riser.
Have you talked to an electrician about this?
No.
What have you tried so far?
Talking to electrical engineer for electric company and they legally can't tell me what to do.
Anything else we should know to help you best?
No.
Hello, my name is. I will be happy to answer your home improvement or electrical question. 1. The service entrance conductors from the meter enclosure lugs to the riser weatherhead mast connections need to be either 400 kcm copper or 600 kcm aluminum.
What is that in size? Example 40 copper.
1. Refer to the attached NEC chart shown below. Does that help to answer your question?
No. What is the size in regular number, please?
1. All conductors are sized in circular mils. 400 or 600 is rated in thousands of circular mils. 2. 400 or 600 kcm is the standard size rating. 3. Conductors are rated and sized in either AWG, odd or circular mils. Circular mils such as kcm or mcm are the thickest conductor size. 1. K equals thousands of circular mils. This is the cross-sectional area of the required wire size.
Dude, when I go to buy the wire at the store it says 20 or 30 or 40 act. Example, my current 200 amp is 40 aluminum. Just need a simple answer. What wire size? Not in Greek but homeowner understandable.
1. 20 or 30 is rated as AWG. American wire gauge, AWG, which is too small for a 400 amp service. 2. Conductors are sized in this order from smallest to largest: A. AWG, smaller; B. Odd, larger; C. KCM or MCM, largest; 3. Your service requires KCM or MCM sized conductors. Look at the chart. Higher amperages require thicker wires. Simple as that. 400 kcm copper or 600 kcm aluminum. Any local electrical supply store sells this wire size. Home Depot or Lowe's may not sell this wire size. Understand?
Okay, so what size conduit do I use then?
1. Wire 6s are based on 3 different sizes. The higher the amps, the thicker the wire. 2. Usually a minimum of 2.5 inches diameter rigid metal conduit is required for a riser mast. You will need to confirm with the local electrical inspector, as local codes always take precedence over the National Electrical Code.
No inspection needed here for residential upgrade. I plan on using Schedule 40 PVC conduit with weatherhead. Is that okay?
1. Even though an inspection may not be required, it is always advised to get a rough-in and a final inspection by the local electrical inspector. All counties, townships and municipalities have a building code inspector. 2. School. 40 is too thin. SCH.80 is used when PVC conduit is allowed per local electrical codes. Install rigid metal conduit a minimum of 2.5 inches diameter and it will pass any code inspection. 1. The tensile strength on PVC conduit is thinner and weaker than rigid due to wind load and the tensile strength from the overhead wires. Thus the reason why rigid metal conduit is the recommended riser for the mast material.
Do I have to run a ground wire from mast to meter base?
1. No.
Do single-phase 3 wires correct?
1. A typical residential single family dwelling in the USA is 120-240 volts, single phase at 60 Hz. 1. Yes, 3 wires. 2 hots and 1 neutral into the line side of the meter.
What size wire do I feed the two 200 amp panels?
1. 20 copper or 40 aluminum for each 200 amp feeder circuit.
What size ground wire from panels to meter and ground rod?
1. 4 AWG copper from each panel to the ground rod.
Do I go from panels directly to ground rod outside and one from the meter base?
1. Some meter enclosure will have a ground lug, others will not. All depends on the manufacturer. If a meter ground lug, then go from the rod to the meter lug and tandem to the panel separate equipment ground bar.
All the ground wires not bonded together.
1. Depends where the main service disconnect will be. Will you have one main disco or the discos will be the main breaker on each 200 amp panel?
Main disconnect will be the panels inside house each with a 200 amp breaker. Hello?
1. Then you can either install a separate equipment ground bar at each panel to land the ground rod wire, or you can land them on the panel neutral bus bar. Your choices both are code compliant since each panel will act as the means of disconnect. 2. I prefer to always install a separate equipment ground bar at any panel as it dedicates all the grounds to one common bus bar. Mixing grounds and neutrals onto the neutral bus bar is code complaint for a main service disconnect, but doesn't look professional in my opinion. I like to keep all my ground wires on one bar and all of the neutrals on the neutral bus bar. Mix for a neater installation. 1. Sorry, I can't type as fast as you. 1. What other questions that you have for me?
Can I run a ground from meter to ground rod and ground from panels to same ground bar with ground lugs on bar and ground? I believe my meter base says MCM connectors, so does that mean to buy 400 MCM wire for main feed?
1. KCM is the same thing as MCM. No difference. 2. Does your meter enclosure have ground lugs?
It has one small one and one larger one, it looks like. I purchased a Eaton 320 meter base at Menards. I'm pretty sure specs on the meter base says 350 MCM connectors, so 400 MCM copper would still work. I don't want anything overheating. 1.
Purchase 400 kcm copper or 400 MCM copper and the service entrance conductors will be code compliant. 2. Read this to understand KCM and MCM wire sizes, https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/circular_mil3, 400 kcm copper or 600 kcm aluminum is required. Read the NEC attachment I provided. Forget about the specs, I'm providing you with the 2017 National Electrical Code requirements. I've installed hundreds of overhead services in the past 45 years and I can do it in my sleep. I'm also a former electrical inspector and I've been around the block once or twice. 4. KCM is the same thing as MCM. Years ago, they changed the wire size indicator from MCM to the now used KCM. It all means the same thing.
Okay, how far does the mast have to be above the roof where it goes through? Can you tell me how far mast has to be above the roof where it goes through at?
1. M is the Roman numeral for thousands and it means the same thing as KCM. K equals 1000 in the electrical world. See this link, https://www.answers.com/q/what_does_m_represent_and_roman_numerals 2, depends on the slope of the roof. If less than 4 inches to 12 slope, minimum of 8 feet. 3. If greater than a 4-inch 12 slope, then a minimum of 3 feet.
Okay, and how far away from any gas lines and how far up from ground meter? If you could answer me that one last question, I'll leave you alone. You have been extremely helpful, and I appreciate it very much.
1. Meter height depends upon the local electrical utility. Within the NEC, there is no meter height requirement. You need to confirm with the local electrical utility. Eye level or slightly below, usually 44 inches to 66 inches, is the most common from the center of the meter to the grade level. 2. Distance from a gas line to the meter enclosure needs to be confirmed with the local electrical utility. Within the NEC, there is no distance defined. No problem, glad to assist. You are asking all good questions, by the way, so very good on your part. If you have any additional questions, just let me know and I'll be glad to answer them for you. Otherwise, don't forget to rate me before you log off so I can receive credit for answering your question. Thanks. Kevin.
Thank you, sir, very much. You have been extremely helpful. Thank you again.
No problem at all. Glad to assist on your upgrade questions. Based on our discussion, I'm sure your service upgrade project will turn out professional and code compliant. Take care and have a great evening. Thanks. Kevin. Thank you for the positive service rating as well as the bonus. Both are very much appreciated. If you have any other questions, just let me know. The next time you have a home improvement or an electrical question, place my name on the question and send it to my attention, Kevin, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. Take care and have a great evening. Thanks again. Kevin.
Kevin had one more question for you regarding my service upgrade. Can you help me?
Sure, what is the question?
My meter base has 2 load lugs for 350 MCM. Can I fit 400 copper or 600 aluminum in there, and how if so, since lugs are not as big as wire? Are you there? Can you help?
1. The line side of the meter should have a lug size that will fit the 400 kcm copper conductors from the riser mast. 2. On the load side of the meter, there should be 2 sets of lugs that will fit the 20 AWG copper that will extend to each 200 amp panel. You don't have that on your meter?
No, I just looked up the specs on meter base. It says line side 350 kmicl.
1. But you mentioned the load lugs in your question. The load lugs are the set that extend to each 200 amp panel. 2. Line and load lugs on the meter socket should be 2 different sizes, or are they the same size?
You may be right, it only says load side. I guess worst case, once I receive it I can go from there. Also, is there a cheaper way to buy metal conduit? I'm seeing prices at $110 for a 10-piece.
1. The load side should have a double set of lugs which will be smaller than the line side. The double load lugs will extend to each 200 amp panel. Since the 200 amp panel wire size, 20 AWG copper, is smaller than the line size lugs that originate from the riser conductors. 2. Unfortunately, rigid metal conduit is expensive than EMT.
Could I use aluminum conduit? Or schedule 40 PVCs draped really well with a screw and insulator into stud and wall for them to attach the overhead line below roof line, not extended above roof? Electric company told me I only have to go through roof if it's metal conduit. I'm trying to be cost effective. Hello? Can you please help answer those questions?
1. The local electrical code inspector has the final say so as to the material type and diameter for the riser conduit, and not the local electrical utility. You need to confirm with the local electrical inspector. 2.5 inches diameter rigid metal conduit is usually the standard size riser required by most local electrical inspectors. 3. I doubt that any inspector would allow PVC SCH.40 as a riser mast. The wall on SC 40 PVC is too thin and does not provide a sufficient tensile strength.
Okay, can I use aluminum? This is not getting inspection from local building company. I realize it needs to be their code, but what can I do that would be a little bit cheaper for riser mast? Do they make an outside wire that can be exposed like some of the ones you see straight to the wall?
1. Code allows the overhead conductors to be routed below the roof line as long as the conductor's connection point is a minimum distance of 10 feet above grade level. If doing this, then you would not require a riser mast through the roof, and EMT conduit should be allowed by the local electrical inspector. The overhead service neutral wire would be supported to the exterior wall. 2. Yes, service entrance cable is allowed per the NEC. 3. Within the NEC, they do not state the riser material type to be used. It is always up to the local code official to determine that. Like I said, I've only seen rigid metal conduit being allowed for use as a riser mast conduit when it penetrates through a roof.
Right, and I don't want to penetrate through the roof. It's a metal roof and I don't want to put holes in it, so I could do service entrance cable stacked to side of house with a weather head on it below the roof under eave overhang. It's a 2-story house.
1. Yes, that is certainly an option and is code compliant. You could secure the neutral wire from the overhead service directly to the side of the house. Since the utility neutral would be secured and fastened through the side of the home, you can then use either EMT conduit with a weatherhead and route the EMT to the meter box directly below. Or you could install service entrance cable. Either of these installations would be code compliant rather than penetrating through the roof.
If you were doing this install, what preference would you have between copper or aluminum wire for line side? Which is better, or does it not matter?
1. I prefer copper since it will not corrode. But copper is more expensive than aluminum. 2. Code allows either conductor material. However, if using aluminum, you need to increase the wire size since aluminum requires a thicker wire size to carry the amperage. Doesn't really matter as long as the aluminum is sized correctly.
Copper does corrode, it turns black after a while, does it not?
1. If using aluminum, you will need no-lox paste, antioxidant, on the aluminum terminations to prevent corrosion. The meter lugs would also need to be rated for aluminum terminations. 2. True, but aluminum is more prone to corrosion than copper. Aluminum will corrode at a faster rate than aluminum. Aluminum is a weaker metal, thus the reason the price is cheaper as compared to copper.
How to prevent copper from turning black? Dielectric grease.
1. If using copper, it will be protected on the inside of the meter box and/or electrical panel. Antioxidant paste is only used for aluminum and not for copper. The only time the paste is used on copper is when splicing or terminating copper to aluminum. Although no-lox can be used for copper.
Will no-lox help in aiding corrosion since the lugs are aluminum in meter box? Do they sell 400 MCM copper service entrance cable? Do they sell 400 MCM copper wire service entrance cable? Hello, are you there?
1. When requiring larger wire sizes such as 400 kcm copper or aluminum, the aluminum is more common. I do not recall seeing large copper sold for service entrance cable. I know that Home Depot or Lowe's does not sell that large of cable. You would need to contact a local electrical supply store as they carry all wire, cable sizes and material types.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. Take care and have a great day. Thanks. Kevin.
Hey Kevin, sorry to bother you again, but electrical supply companies are telling me I need 350 MCM as it is rated for 310 amps and 400 MCM is overkill at 335 amps, and they're telling me the feed wire to both panels need to be 30 copper rated 200 amps. I'm so confused. I don't want to start a fire in my house or outside. Help me understand, please. Why are they telling me this? If I have a 320 amp continuous meter, it's only going to allow me to draw that much at one time, and 350 MCM would not carry the amps, correct? I know 20 copper wire is rated 170 amps, so I'm confused what to do on that as well. Help please.
1. The supply company is providing you with incorrect amp ratings. See the attached table, as this is directly from the National Electrical Code. 2. 350 MCM copper is rated for a maximum of 350 amps and not 310 amps. 3. 400 MCM copper is rated for a maximum of 400 amps and not 335 amps. 4. If the max amps will be 320 amps, then you need 350 MCM copper. 5. A 200 amp feeder requires either 20 AWG copper that is rated for 200 amps or 40 AWG aluminum, which is also rated for 200 amps. 6. 20 AWG copper is rated for 200 amps and not 170 amps. 1. 30 AWG copper is rated for a maximum of 225 amps and not 200 amps. You can use 30 AWG copper if you want, but it is not needed. 20 AWG copper is used on a 200 amp feeder circuit.
Well, it's a 320 amp continuous meter they're installing, so I don't know why they call it a 400 amp service upgrade, that being the case, so all I need is 350 MCM copper. I'm asking you because I'm sure you have installed meters that were 320 continuous before.
1. If 320 amp continuous, then yes, 350 MCM copper is required for the line side of the meter. 2. The load side of the meter for each 200 amp panel will require 20 AWG copper.
Why do they call this a 400 amp service then?
1. It is a nominal value since feeding two 200 amp panels. The utility is using 80% of the 400 amps, which actually provide 320 amps. 400 x.8 equals 320.
Knowing this, why did you tell me 400 copper MCM then? I'm confused.
1. Not all utilities are the same. If they offer a 400 amp service and not a 320 amp, then the larger wire is needed per the table.
Kevin, I have one more question. Is it required to have a main disconnect outside, or can it go to panel boxes inside basement?
1. That depends upon local electrical codes. Many local codes, including my area, are now requiring a main disconnect at the exterior of the home. The most common method on this application is that the main disconnect circuit breaker is built into the exterior meter box. If an exterior main disconnect is required, the 200 amp panels are configured as subpanels. 2. If no main exterior disconnect is required, then each 200 amp panel would be configured as main panels and not as subpanels. 3. You will need to contact the local building code official to confirm if your area requires an exterior main disconnect. Unfortunately, I cannot provide you with a direct answer on this since it is a local electrical code question. The only thing I can comment on is that if you do install an exterior main disconnect, it will certainly pass code. The exterior main disconnect is being driven by the firefighters. Instead of pulling the exterior meter to kill power to a burning building, much easier, quicker and safer for the firefighters to kill power directly at the exterior meter enclosure by just flipping the outside main breaker. This is slowly becoming a local electrical code requirement here in the Chicago area. I've installed a few of these in recent years. 1. If you do not require an exterior disconnect, then the two panels must be installed as close as possible to the exterior meter enclosure. Typically, most inspectors will allow a maximum distance from 4 to 6 feet from the meter to the interior panels. Any distance greater than 4 to 6 feet, then a separate main disconnect will be required.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/ythi.